Thank you for joining us on From Moment to Movement. I'm your host, Tamara Banks. The U.S. is at a critical point in its history. Millions of Americans are rallying, demonstrating, protesting, and yes, even rioting to make their voices heard, particularly Black Americans. Racism is steeped into the very core of this country. And now, in 2020, Black voices are tired of being ignored, muffled, and killed. We're experiencing an important moment. African Americans need this moment to march, protest, cry, pray, to be heard, and to evoke change. From Moment to Movement hopes to provide a platform for Black voices. The movement has to arise from the ashes of the moment. From Moment to Movement is a series of one-on-one interviews with members of our community aimed at giving a platform to hear their experiences and work towards changing our system. Our guest is Brandon Carter. He is the owner of a production company called Very Productions and works as a director of photography. Brandon was born in Kentucky, but raised in Boulder, Colorado. Brandon, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Appreciate your time. So we're, as I said, in this moment where we've got lots of videotape of incidents of unarmed Black men and women being killed by primarily white police officers, but also Black police officers. Then the subsequent rallies, protests, riots, funerals, demonstrations. I want to ask you, how is this moment that we're going through in America and really across the world, how are you feeling about it?
I mean, how am I feeling about it? It's overwhelming first and foremost to just go through this over and over again and seeing so many people have to suffer through the same exact situation that our grandfathers and grandmothers suffered through. It's strange to feel like it was over, but it's just beneath the surface for so many people. And it makes it hard to want to leave the house, So it's a bit overwhelming.
Say more about that, about the fear of leaving the house. What are your fears?
It's just hard to think that you could just be walking down the street doing absolutely nothing and someone can call the cops on you and say that you're a threat while you're taking a morning walk, right? That's just unfathomable to me, that to leave my house, to go outside, to go for what would be, not like a relaxing state. I have to just be heightened at all times and make sure that I'm not being a threat and make sure that my hands or my pockets are out of my pockets, or that I'm walking big, or that I'm walking small. And it's just a lot to have to deal with all the time. And it's not a new thing. It's something I've been dealing with, since I was a little kid. Your parents tell you how to act when you go in society so that people don't perceive you as a threat. And now it's like all this work that we've been doing for forever just seems to be, it's for something, but it's like people are just finally waking up to the fact that, okay, it is happening.
You're raising an interesting point. I've heard a number of people over the past few weeks say, wow, racism is really picking back up again. And wow, it just wasn't this bad, a couple of years ago. I always say racism has never left this country. In fact, it was part of its foundation when Africans were brought to this country as products, as livestock, if you will, to help build this country. Can you talk a little bit about your reaction when somebody says, wow, I didn't know that this was happening and it's just popping up all of a sudden?
My reaction to people who think that racism was over, right? Or where's this coming from? Because I thought we were past it. It's strange because they don't have to deal with it every day.
I think it's interesting that, like you said, people are saying it's just has happened over the past couple of years or so. And yet for not the prevalence of cell phones, everybody's got a cell phone, right? So that means everybody's got a camera. And so that's why we're actually seeing what we as a Black community have always known for 300-400 years. And now finally the white community is saying, oh, Maybe it wasn't your fault. Maybe you were just walking down the street. Maybe you were just jogging, or maybe you were just trying to bird watch. Can you
Yeah.
give me some examples of some of the experiences you've had in that realm?
Yeah. It's interesting, right? It's like you grow up in a city. I grew up in Boulder, Colorado, which is a primarily, white city, maybe one of the most white cities in America per capita, essentially. And so you grow up with people treating you differently and asking you where you're from everywhere you go. Every time you show up in a space, where are you from? Where are you from?
Hmm.
Does your so it's you're always having to justify where you fit in and why you're there and what you're doing there, and like, do you even have the skills to hold a water bottle? The way that people treat you, like you can't do anything everywhere you go. And this has been ingrained in me since I was a small child, raised in a school system where I'm the only person that is from Kentucky. I'm not the only black person in the school, but in my entire going from school from second grade or from first grade in Colorado to high school, there was like less than 25 black people I went to school with my entire time.
Hmm.
So people always would say, "Oh, let me touch your hair," and all these dumb cliches when they're trying to get you to fit into their box so they can understand you. But the only thing they need to understand is that you're unique, just like they're unique, and our differences make us beautiful, and that's okay. You know?
What does that feel like to constantly sort of be on the end of having to explain who you are, why you are, where you are? It almost feels to me exhausting. How about you?
Yeah. It feels tiring to explain to everyone to justify your existence just for wanting to sit in a chair, just for wanting to be in a store. It's so hard to want to walk into a big box department store when as soon as you go in there, people are going to assume that you're trying to steal something, or assume that you're not from there, or assume you're trying to hustle them. It's just bizarre because you can see on people's face when you're like just being open and honest about what you're looking for. Like, I just need this basic item, and you go to the store to buy a basic item, and they're like trying to qualify you to see if you can afford a box of paper towels, and it's like, all I'm trying to do is buy a basic necessity, and you're trying to question my bank account. You're trying to question, should I be there? You're trying to question, why would I be there? You're trying to question what neighborhood I'm from. And it's just like all these different things make it so tiring to like want to go out of the house, to make it tiring to want to make friends with people. And, you know, it's just daunting, to think that every single person that I interact with who is not brown, and even brown people, we're going to hate each other, and people are going to try to meter where they think I should be in society. People are going to try to meter whether they think that I am, all these things that they think that I am, even though they have no idea who I am as a person, except for I have skin that's darker than theirs.
Mhm.
That's it. So since my skin is darker than theirs, I have a whole list of different experiences that they think, oh man, what did he go through when he was a little kid? It must have been terrible. Oh my God. So it's like they stack these things up of why brown people and people of color can't just exist, you know?
And a lot of assumptions that are made about your own experience.
Yeah.
When you're talking about Brandon, or microaggressions, I think is the term.
Yeah.
And so what we've seen in videos, in the news and on YouTube and social media platforms, are actual killings. Obviously, that is the epitome of aggression. But these microaggressions are very painful and hurtful as well, right?
Yeah. I mean, look at how microaggressions stack up. You're in a park, you see someone with their dog off leash, and you're trying to watch birds, and you say, hey, can you please not break the rules because I want to watch the birds? Then someone takes their microaggression and says to you, no, you're not going to tell me what to do in the situation. I'm going to call the police and say XYZ, say that an African American male is threatening me, right? An African American male. That concept makes you a liberal if you're going to go ahead in your brain and separate what you're calling someone, and you're going to say that they're African American versus black or other racial slurs you choose to use. The frame of your microaggression is so deep inside your brain, you can't even get it out, right? I've had people for the past 2 weeks texting me and calling me and apologizing for things that they've said, and happy that I've called them out on in the past, right? But it's just crazy that everyone has these microaggressions stacked up and these biases, and even Black people. And we have biases against ourselves. We have biases against women. We have biases against men, right? But we have to learn that our biases exist, and we have to learn how to quell them, because everybody has a terrible day. Everybody stubbed their toe. Everyone can relate to this universal experience of what it is to be a person and have people not think of you. But we have to really have that empathy and that compassion for everyone around us. I mean, it's just like Martin said, right? It's like hate cannot drive out hate. Darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only love can drive out hate. So we have to focus on showing people that we're all beautifully different and flawed in the same exact ways. And we all have different paths in life, and we all have different experiences. And that's what makes this human tapestry work so well, is that, you know, it's a gift that that we are alive right now. It's a gift that our ancestors made it through all the BS that they made it through their entire lives. The fact that we can be here to this day. And it's not just slavery. It's, I mean, all kinds of atrocities have happened to all of our families on all different, on every level you can imagine, you know, from trauma when you're a little kid to trauma when you're an adult, to just even watching your grandparents fade from this life, because we don't know how to have compassion and be present in the moment in our society. So that's what we have to do, is we have to just learn how to let everyone experience what they need to experience, and learn that love and light is the only thing that we can do to drive out this ignorance, because you can't sit here and try to explain someone who's ignorant out of ignorance. It doesn't work. Ignorance out of ignorance, it doesn't work. So you have to learn how to come to people where they're at, and bring it down and be like, yo, we're just people, just like you're just a person.
Right. Let me ask you just one last question, Brandon. What is it that you want America to hear from you? We've gone from kneeling, peaceful protesting, demonstrating, to riots, and people feel that they're just not heard. What would you like America to hear from you today?
It's a tough question. I mean, I just want everyone to realize that everyone deserves the right and the compassion of just existing in our society and being treated not just equally, but treating people as special, and treating people as they are a part of something greater, and that we all need each other together. And it's like, I don't know what I want people to say, or what people to hear from me. I mean, it's just that we're all unique, and we're all on these different journeys, and we all have similarities. You know, just by admitting that we're all here on a journey, and we don't know what we're doing, and we know that we're suffering together. That's it. You know, and that suffering is a part of life, and getting it to deal with that is a hard thing to do. I mean, each breath that we take is precious, and we have to learn that we have to share these resources together. And if that resource is time, if that resource is food, if that resource is water, whatever, we have to work together, because this is a closed ecosystem. We're on a spaceship called Earth, right? We have a limited number of resources. We have to work together. And if we don't work together, then we as a people will not last. Another group will rise up. Another faction will rise up. But we have to literally just work together and not try to control each other. You know, it's like everybody's out here living their own messed up life. And it's like, why is our life messed up? It's because we're not working together. It's like, we have to learn how to be a person. We have to learn how to be people. We have to learn how to just accept people and let people grow. And even though it's hard to do that, it's like we have to let people do that, and eventually people will come together. I don't know. I'm just doldering here. I don't know. I'm making up new words.
That's okay. I think at this point we need
Yeah.
some new words, new strategies, and new approaches, because the way we've been operating is not sustainable.
Unpacking the invisible knapsack of white privilege in our society is very difficult. Go pick up a package of Band-Aids. What color are they? They don't look like my skin, right? So it's just like the oppression starts very, 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 very early. I mean, it starts when you're a baby and you're crying and they put a pacifier in your mouth. Instead of telling you to listen to your feelings, people tell you to shut up. So when you're a black person or you're a woman or you're subjugated and you're not at the top of the pyramid, everyone's going to tell you to shut up and not listen to your feelings. So it's like, if we're going to tell people to shut up and not listen to their feelings, what do you think is going to happen? We're going to have incels, we're going to have racism, we're going to have violence, and we're going to have pillaging. I mean, that's what's happening. It's like, if you tell people to shut up and that they're not worthy, they're going to show you how unworthy they are. They're going to show you how you're not listening to them, and it's just simple, cause and effect. If it's just that simple, but it's so simple. The concept is simplex, and you can't understand. It's so simple, it's simplex, because it's complicated, because it's so simple to understand that the first step in your journey is by taking your first step. It's not about planning for what you're going to do when you get to the summit. It's about taking your first step. And the first step has to be realizing that the psychological oppression that we all suffer through as human beings, as Americans, as citizens of this globe, of whatever your document says, is all oppression. How do you deal with this? I'm asking you.
You're asking me, how do I deal with
how do you deal with this? Because you know this stuff. You've been in the game forever.
Yeah. A whole lot of getting prayed up, remembering who I am and whose I am, right?
Yeah.
I know who I am and I know whose I am. That helps, but it still, it still gets you. And when you are a journalist on the front lines and you're being told to, you're being attacked, or being pulled off certain stories because over the years, because, well, how could I be unbiased covering a story about the KKK rallying at the Capitol? Well, how can my white male colleague, if you're going to use that schematic, be unbiased covering Juneteenth? I mean, if that's the mechanism by which you want to judge who's going to be unbiased and who's not. And by the way, what does unbiased mean? Whose list of adjectives do we use? And those adjectives and those descriptions come from a white mainstream construct that that's what they mean by being unbiased. Calling out a nation leader for what he is and being wrong is not taking a side. It's being truthful and honest and reporting information that's critical and needed to the American people. That's how I deal with it.
Yeah. It's such a strange struggle, because it's like, I don't know, we don't know each other, but I used to do a radio show on KGNU when I was 15 in Boulder.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's when I started getting exposed to all this stuff, Democracy Now! And all these different concepts, right? And now it's to the point where it's like, this is exactly what Noam Chomsky was talking about.
That's right.
This is exactly what Howard Zinn was talking about, right? And so it's like, now what do we do? Like, people have been trying to like peel people's eyes open so they can see. But now it's like, we can see, but now it's like, what will the public do with the knowledge that they can see? They've seen police brutality against old white people. They've seen cops have no-knock warranted in the wrong house on hundreds and hundreds of occasions, and then kill people sleeping in their beds. There's no justification for that, except for you're scared, which is a great I was scared, and then no one can prosecute me, right? So it's like, how do we take the knowledge? To be biblical, we've all taken the fruit of knowledge now with this knowledge and seen how putrid our society treats people who are disenfranchised, how we all ignore homeless people on the street. Every single chance we get, we avoid them the same way that we have been avoided.
Yep.
So, what do?
Right. The time of being invisible is gone. the time is now to be seen and to be heard. And if a peaceful protest by kneeling or holding up signs that say Black Lives Matter, I can't breathe, don't shoot, are agitating, and you want to shut it down, well, then the next step is what comes with that. And the voices get louder. But here on this show, we hope to be able to provide that platform. I think a lot of people are ready to listen. A lot of white liberals who thought they knew what was going on, their eyes are being opened up as well. So
I look at my phone real quick. Literally this morning at 6:49 a.m. Thank you for that time you called me out for the justification because I dated a black guy once. I now realize how unfortunate and ignorant it was. I didn't know then how much I contributed to systematic racism. Thank you for the call and grace you've shown me in this friendship for our chats, which I hold dear. It's like
nice. Yeah.
It's just funny.
Like you said, sometimes people just don't know. They just don't know. So now, like you said, it's kind of like the Clockwork Orange. The eyelids are pinned open and people have to see what's happening. Brandon, thank you so much for your time. Appreciate you. You stay safe out there. Okay.
Thanks. Stay safe as well.
All right. You take good care. Thanks to all of you for watching today. We appreciate your time and joining us on From Moment to Movement. You can find out more information about the show on pbs12.org. I'm Tamara Banks. We'll see you next time.